the younger generation comes in and they're full of energy and vim and vigor, and they want to grow, grow, grow. And they're saying, let's go do this. And the senior generation is saying, whoa, slow down. We don't want to risk anything because they've got something to lose at that point, and they're concerned. So there's this real opportunity for conflict between the generations. I've never mentioned specifics because when people in family businesses say things in confidence, you wouldn't want to relay it. But I've seen examples over and over and over where one of the family members likes to take Fridays off to go do something, and the other family members are working really hard, and resentment builds up. So it builds up between family members. Who else does it affect? It affects the employees. The employees look at the family members and say, hey, we're working really hard, and this guy's slacking. This is not a good thing. So there's lots and lots of problems there. I've got a short little list of some issues. Conflict, sibling rivalry. You get back to family members. You're off at school, you're off in a job, you're doing whatever, you become successful and accomplished, and you get back to family members, and you're still 12 years old. Has anybody ever had that issue? You're still exactly 12 years old, and you're always going to be 12 years old. Now go to work and have somebody looking at you like you're a 12-year-old. So I had an example of people would come in and they'd say, they'll be introduced as, and I've got my VP of this and VP of that and VP of something else. And then they get to the son, and they say, my vice president of marketing. And everybody looks at you like, yeah, I know how you got that job. Who's ever seen that where they look at, and they... So one day, that kid said to me, goes, and every day my father introduces me. I've got my vice president of operations. I've got my vice president of marketing. I've got my vice president of this. Oh, my son Dave. It's like, it doesn't matter. I can't, So immediately this person has an issue. So that conflict between them. Another disadvantage, and it was already mentioned before, the autocratic style. My way or the highway. It affects employees. Who else could it affect? It can affect your relationship with suppliers and vendors. Here's a big one, lack of succession planning. Who's seen this in a family business? Are people familiar with the concept succession planning? Somebody want to define it for us? What is succession plan? It's a huge issue for family businesses. But I'll contend business is business. I'm going to go into that camp for a minute. It's a huge issue for every business. General Motors is always talking about their succession plan in the paper. It's an issue for every business. I'll throw out, it's a bigger issue, though, for family businesses. And I'll contend it's a bigger issue for them for one reason. They do a really bad job at it for the most part. It's very painful to do that. And typically, if you're in a family business, you want to be there till when? When do you want to retire? You might never want to retire. So your retirement program might be death. You're going to go out horizontally. So for me to start planning my succession means I might as well just start planning my funeral. So I'm not going to do that either. And I don't want to tell you which one of you I love better, so I'm going to just not, I love you both. Or I love all three of you. Yeah, that's a huge issue. Imagine that conversation over dinner. Yeah, we're going to bring in somebody from the outside because the two of you are idiots. Oh, there's three, and you're not even in the running. Forget that. That's going to be a really good Thanksgiving this year, huh? That's a tough conversation. How do you do that? But when you're not emotionally connected to these people in a corporation, you've got a bunch of shareholders jumping up and down and saying, do this. And it's not personal anymore. It's what? It's business. But with the family business, it's family. So you've got a real problem. I always make the joke, we're called the Center for Family Business. But we're not talking business. It is issues like that. And I can point out some companies that have done a really good job at bringing in an outside person to run it. And I can show you some examples of companies that have done a really bad job at it. And some that should have that didn't. But it takes some real discipline. So there's a lot of disadvantages here. There's a real lot of disadvantages. Tendency towards lack of innovation. That's a big one. Why do family businesses tend to lack innovation or investment in innovation? You know, as L.L. Bean would say, I can only eat 3 meals a day. I'm pretty happy with the way it goes. I don't want to invest money.
Why risk it?
Yeah, why risk it? Aren't we all happy? Well, I am, and it's my business. So it's a real problem, and it becomes tension for the next generation. Statistically, though, when family businesses invest in innovation, they outperform the Standard & Poor's companies. They do better. They do better.